Well, good morning, Leeds fans. It is the day of the big game, and I thought I'd come to you with a little bit of a preview. Make sure you're checking out everything at One Leeds HQ. We'll have your articles after the game. We'll have your post-match stuff as well, everybody, live on the channel. We'll have you watch along as well. Make sure you're joining me for that one, hopefully off the back of a Leeds United win. Get your thoughts in the comment section below, as always, and we're here to talk about your predicted lineup. We're here to talk about selection issues, and we're here to talk about the way forward, actually, without our captain, our leader, the presence in midfield who gives us that tempo, dynamic as well in that midfield. I think he's quite ever present and unique in that, in his own role. I think these things that you can't really measure in terms of his communication are going to be sorely missed. So how do we replace that is the key question right now. Of course it is. And how do Leeds set up against a Norwich side who will be pressing tonight? A press of which is quite aggressive. We saw that against Derby County, especially in the second half. Against Watford, they smothered them. And it's going to be quite interesting to see how Leeds United deal with that. But, you know, these are the ever-present challenges of the Championship. You do get good sides in the Championship. I think sometimes it is overblown that it's a rubbish league and there's no competition in there. Well, that's just too far from the truth. It's a good league. This one is, I mean, the week's going to be challenging for Leeds. We know that. And why is it so challenging? Well, a lot of it's going to be because of the time. You know, they've got to get to Norwich and then they've got to get to Sunderland within a 3-day span, which is probably about 7-8 hours for you American viewers out there. I'm sure that's the next town up from you. But for us here in England, that is a lot. And, you know, when there's been so many complaints by Rodri and many other players in the English Premier League about being able to recover, I think it's just an absolute abomination that Leeds are playing two of these games at other ends of the country with two really competitive teams in 3 days. I think it's an absolute disgrace. So it is what it is, but the scheduling never helps Leeds, and you've kind of just got to buffer up. And you, with Solomon fit, with Ampadu fit, you know, with Schmidt fit, you're going into this game and you think to yourself, okay, we've got a lot of depth, you know, but now with 6 injuries out, Leeds are looking a little bit threadbare. The likes of Debayo and Charlie Crew might be called upon, because these are long-term injuries. We know Berber is out for surgery, we believe. Ampadu is going to be out for 10 weeks. So you're looking at the defensive pair at the back and thinking that might have to be a James Debayo cameo role at some point if Strauch or Rodon pulls out, and we know Strauch has sort of 12 games out per season, really. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting period, a fascinating period of which Daniel Farke will need to probably give the likes of Debayo and the likes of maybe Charlie Crew a little bit more game time, so they're going to be match fit, because at this moment in time, they are not match fit. The beauty about what we do have is quality. Now, Charlie Crew, for me, if he bulks up and becomes, becomes a genuine defensive presence, has potential to be very, 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 very good. I have seen Charlie play a few times now. His passing ability, his understanding of the game is very, very similar to that of Archie Gray. He's exciting. What I will say is, and what we've seen under Daniel Farke is, you know, profile-wise, some individuals, Rothwell being in there, Charlie Crew being another one, is it vastly better than, you know, what we had with what we've got with others in that number 6? Does he fit our tactics? And I think that's what we're seeing now with Farke. For instance, you know, with the Gruev discussion, there's a certain type of player, a certain type of profile which Daniel Farke likes, and obviously that's why Rothwell, that's why potentially even Tanaka, if it was long term, wouldn't be getting in ahead of the Bulgarian. And I guess it's his place to lose, isn't it? But Norwich, as I've said, they've had a really good sort of 3 to 4 game period. Norwich have, if we look at it, they've had 3 wins in 4. They've scored a lot of goals. You know, you look at the 4 that they scored against Watford. You look at the 3 that they've scored against Derby County as well. They beat Coventry away 1-0, which we know is a very, very difficult place to go. And they've lost to Swansea 1-0. So they're coming with their tails up. The manager has already said that they're going in to win the game. And I know that sounds really obvious. You know, obviously, Connor, they're going in to win the game. But a lot of teams say that they're going to go in to win the game against Leeds United and just end up sitting and just hoping for anything. And I think it's a big compliment to us, but I think the onus is going to be us in a little bit of a different way in this game. I think it's going to be on transition. I think Leeds United are going to be forced to sit deep at points, but then hit Coventry, Norwich with a counter-attack. And I think that's how Leeds going to be successful in this game. I think it's just going to be revolved around the counter-attack, which we've seen at Norwich before, which we've had a really good record there. You know, 3-2 under Monk, 3-2 under Bielsa, 3-2 under Farke. It seems to be a reoccurring pattern that even when you feel Leeds are out the game, like last season, we're still in the game because we still have the presence of that counter-attack. But it is a very different Norwich team to what Norwich was last season. You know, under Wagner, less intense, a lot less intense, less in my patterns of from my understanding as well, less like sort of patterns of play that they have got under the new man. And look, they're really happy with him, so their tails are up, and that's what we've got to contend with. We've got to contend with a packed out Carrow Road. Long trip down there, as we know, and it's going to be a long trip back up north as well, to the northeast, to Sunderland, the Stadium of Light on Friday night. But these are the adverse conditions that Leeds United have got to deal with in this season. We know that the fixtures are going to be changed around. We know we're going to be hit with injuries. That is just the Leeds United way. We know we are everybody's biggest game of the season, as we will be with Norwich, as we will be with Sunderland. So these are the things we're putting on that white shirt, which are heavy. And some players who maybe don't realise that now, they will get to know it through the winter period when the games become fraught and they become more active, and the frequency of them, becomes higher. So, yeah, for me, when we look at someone like Charlie Crew, previously, is he sort of a long-term replacement for Ethan Ampadu? I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure that defensive profile in him is right yet. I love him as a player. I think he's very, 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 very smooth on the ball. I think he's an excellent passer of the ball as well. But has he got that ability to be that defensive presence? And I think we already have players who are in that role. So I would go for a team of Eli Melee in net, Bogle, Rodon Strauch, obviously ever present, Firpo. I'll go with the midfield too. Gruev and Tanaka. I think the balance between them look really good. It'll be interesting to see who's the yin and who's the yang, who's going forward, who's not, because I feel in any sort of double pivot, you have got that one who's got a little bit more license. You look at Kimmich and Goretzka, you look at Jorginho and Kovacic, you look at many double pivots that have worked. Partey and Rice, there always seems to be one who's defensive, one who goes forward, and it seems to be in that game, I do believe, against Coventry at the weekend, maybe Tanaka was just trying to get a feel of the ball a little bit, and he was coming a little bit deeper. I know even in my playing days when I was still playing in sort of a number 8, I'd still drop deep a little bit more to get a feel of the ball when I'd just come on. So I think there is something there, but it will be interesting to see the dynamic between those two. Who's further forward, who's further back? Obviously, your front line picks itself. Nonso, Aronson, Ramazani, and Matteo Joseph. Guys, we're going to be back tonight, obviously, with all the content. Make sure you're tuning in from here at One Leeds HQ, and I can't wait to see you all. Make sure you're liking the video as always. Tell me your thoughts on the channel and everything that's going on at the minute. Also, listen, head on over to the Patreon. We've got an Across the Pond out. We've got a Generation Leeds coming up. We've got bits and bats that we're going to be putting on there for bonus bits as well. I've got an announcement that's coming out really soon, which I'll be putting on the Patreon within a couple of days, of which might be coming on the channel in a couple of weeks. So head on over there for that one. We've got articles on there that are Patreon exclusive. We're going to be doing a Man City Ellen Road breakdown stadium expansion, which we've been working a long time on. That's going to be exclusive on the Patreon. Make sure you check that out, everybody. We are sponsored, as always, you guys know, by IPM Group UK. All your CCTVs and surveillance issues you can sort out with Rick and the gang. Keep it in the Leeds community. Also, as you can see here, Football Prize have got a mad prize on right now, everybody. I think there's about 26 prizes. I'll put the link in the description for that. You can buy a ticket and become involved in the raffle. Well worth it, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'll catch you tonight. See you in a bit. Cheers.